Today's video is going to be a quick build of man in big coat with bird doggo. It's a Lord Imperatant with his Griffhound familiar. The plan for today had been to do another Battle Sister, but my quest said no. It had been plugged in, but the plug hadn't been plugged in, so it hasn't charged, and I can't play on it, which is sad. You'll notice that today I've decided to use an actual sprue remover tool to take the edges off the various pieces and bits that I've cut out, which does make life a lot easier. The reason I wanted to do this model is because he's really, really nice. I'll show you properly once he's fully built, but damn. In terms of rulesy stuff, for those who are interested in that kind of thing, a Lord Imperatant has a move of 5 inches, 7 wounds, and a 3+ save with 9 bravery. He is armed with his Stormcaller baton, which he uses at a range of 18 inches for d6 attacks, with 3s to hit and wound, -1 rend for 1 damage a hit. In melee, he uses his Blessed Warhammer. It does 4 attacks at 3s and 3s, with -1 rend for 2 damage a hit. His abilities are Distinguished Leader, which allows him to, once per turn, issue a command without spending a command point. The text reads, Lord Imperatants are trained to be true masters of the battlefield, and can direct many echelons of their warriors as if they were but a singular entity. He also has the ability Guided by Lightning. Once per turn, at the end of your movement phase, if any friendly units with this ability are on the battlefield, you may say they will guide the arrival of Sigmar's warriors. If you do so, pick one friendly Stormcast Eternal's Thunderstrike unit with a wounds characteristic of 3 or less that is in reserve. When you use the Scions of the Storm Allegiance ability to set up that unit on the battlefield, in that phase, you can set it up more than 7 inches from all enemy units instead of more than 9 inches. And the text for that ability reads, With the aid of their enchanted Stormcaller baton, a Lord Imperatant can direct the arrival of their Thunderstrike brethren with the utmost precision. Finally, of course, a Lord Imperatant is accompanied by a Griffhound familiar, which must remain within 1 inch of the Lord Imperatant, and for rules purposes, they are both counted as a single model. If I'm not entirely mistaken, and correct me if I am, that's somewhat of a departure from previous models who had a Griffhound familiar, like the Lord Cassellant, who had a rule that just let you set up a unit of Griffhounds that was a single model alongside setting him up, included in his points. I've seen other models from the new edition do a similar thing to this. One of the Orky boys comes with a Grot Stabber who kind of functions in the same way. Not actually being that experienced with playing Age of Sigmar, I don't know how much this actually affects game flow, but I assume that Games Workshop have changed it for a reason. So I guess I'll find out. At this point, I clearly decided that the video wasn't taking long enough, so I dismantled the model and put him back together again. I think his staff was pointing out wrong, or something. Something wasn't sitting correctly, and it needed to be fixed. With that back in place, I moved on to what can only be described as his halo. It's odd. I like these bits on the models. They really do add a little bit of something, where I think without that piece, there would be something missing. But it is an interesting armor choice. Like, you think with Sigmarite being this sort of magical and semi-precious, ultra-hard metal that's used in all their armors, you wouldn't think there'd be enough of it going spare to just wang an extra chunk around the back of someone's head for dramatic effect. Especially considering that this guy's not really supposed to be there to inspire terror in his enemies or anything like that. Still, I think we can agree he wears it well. I did find that the seams on this model weren't quite marrying up quite the way I wanted to. It took a little bit of pressing to get everything just so. I believe I'm already on record as saying that I love it when bases have some cool stuff on them. I do enjoy the process of modelling bases, but in terms of a big army, and I know Stormcasts aren't the worst offenders for this because they tend to have smaller units for more points, but when you're basing like 100 grots, or in my case, literally 100 dwarf warriors, the last thing you want to be fanning on with is like little bits of grass and putting your own little pebbles on and then having to paint all of that as well. It's nice to have something to work from as a foundation as part of the model. But anyway, here he is in all of his Imperatant glory. I really, really do like this model. I love all the little details. I love his weird halo-y thing. His hammer's really cool. His coat is fabulous, darling. There's just a lot to like here. And I don't know if I've said it before, but I really like the idea of Gryph-hounds. I'm not sure whose idea it was to just like slap a bird head on a dog body, but it works, and I appreciate them for their hard work. I'm also impressed by this particular model, being as that it is only 2 pieces pushed together, but it's still a very nice detailed little model of a Gryph-hound. It would have been fairly easy for Games Workshop to get away with just slapping in another Gryph-hound model, although the base size is different to the older models, presumably because this one's a sort of counts as part of model rather than being part of its own unit. But nonetheless, it's nice that they made the effort to put a new model in. And here they are, both finished. I know this was quite a quick one. Unfortunately, the planned content for today did not happen, but I will be back again next week.